You know what I just recently discovered about Chaos from Sonic Forces? We of course eventually know that most of the Chaos clones that we've seen in Sonic Forces are pretty much phantom clones made from the Phantom Ruby caused by Infinite. However, in some cases, there was only one specific scene that made me realize something because could have that been the real Chaos at some point? Sup my awesome Mad Lads, my name is Mad Dog and welcome back to another Mad Theory episode. And yes, today we're going back to another Sonic Forces theory, which I have not talked about in a long time. Most of the Sonic Forces theories that I've actually talked about was basically Infinite's disappearance, which I talked about many years ago and then recently back then when Sonic Frontiers came out. But out of all the other kind of characters or villains that we actually get to see returning into the Sonic Forces game, there was only one character in particular that really kind of stuck out to me the most. And that, my friends, is Chaos, the God of Destruction. This guy is pretty much the most iconic character ever since back in Sonic Adventure 1. And as we all know, familiar with Chaos's, particular history, is basically he was obviously once a Chao, which was then, if you touch the Chaos Emeralds or even the Master Emeralds perhaps, then he basically mutates into this water being known as a Chaos. And this pretty much happens exactly with the rest of the entire Ancients that we actually know to be, in fact, descendants of Chaos back in Sonic Frontiers. Now, that is the one thing I actually do want to actually talk about specifically today, and also a fact with what particular thing I was talking about in Sonic Forces when Chaos was around. Obviously, we see Chaos specifically in the very beginning of the game after completing Green Hill Zone, and then of course after that we see him in another cutscene, specifically when Tails was trying to fix Omega. And then after that, a few times, we then, of course, get to see a bunch of clones of Chaos, along with, Zavok, Shadow, and Metal Sonic, in a fearsome fight for the final battle for the world. Out of all the cutscenes that actually involved Chaos, there was only, potentially 3 cutscenes that had Chaos in total. But the second cutscene I actually do want to talk about. The very moment when Tails actually fixes Omega, as you can see here, is that he actually comes out from a sewage pipe. You can easily see him that that the water from his body is starting to come in together and just warp exactly how he normally would be, just like in Sonic Adventure 1. You can also see him that it was basically walking very, very slowly. Unlike some of the other Chaos clones that we've seen in the very first one or at the very end, they were pretty darn active. And due to the fact with the coordination, especially when taking down Sonic in the first cutscene there, was pretty much pretty ordeal. And it was so fast that their coordinates were so coordinated. Their moves and choreography on how to take down Sonic with ease was just crazy. I mean, if you were to actually have the actual team of Shadow, Zavok, Metal Sonic, and Chaos together, the real deal, they would have no chances of trying to take out Sonic whatsoever. Shadow would probably just one-shot Sonic probably on his own because, he's Shadow. He's the ultimate life force. He wouldn't freaking give a damn if he's working against those other three. Chaos, however, is a completely other different story because when I see him walking down that aisle trying to grab Tails, I noticed something very interesting. By the time when he actually crawls out of the sewage pipe and walks towards Tails, you can see apparently that Chaos had footprints on the floor. You can see that there were these arrow-like footprints that were coming due to the fact of, coming from Chaos's watery-like feet because, since that Chaos is made out of water. But that's the funny thing. I looked into the other specific cutscenes that I have seen in Sonic Forces, and to be honest, I could not see a single footprint coming out from Chaos's feet. Like, none of the Phantom Ruby clones of Chaos had that kind of thing. They never showed any type of footprints. None of them. So this really did make me get to wonder, was that really the real Chaos? This, I don't know, is gonna make fans shook, or they're gonna be a disbelief. I don't know. But I'm being serious here, guys. I mean, this is the one chance that I'm starting to get to realize to myself that could it possibly be that Chaos was actually around and we just did not realize it? But of course, in the very end, Classic Sonic came from a specific Phantom Ruby portal, probably due to the events of Sonic Mania, probably. And then he basically just one-shots Chaos, like just like that, and then Chaos retreats back into wherever he was gonna go. Probably back, maybe into the sewerway, perhaps? I don't know. Where did he actually go to? Did he even go back into the sewerway? Or did he go somewhere else? So, let's have a bit of a talk about that for a few seconds. Apart from the footprints on the ground, and due to the fact that Chaos was actually trying to reach Tails with his one arm, kind of like Werehog Sonic whenever he actually reaches out with his Werehog arms. Then again, Chaos did have that kind of similar ability back in Sonic Adventure 1, I think. I'm not too sure. But what was the reason behind all of that? Maybe it might have been because he wasn't going to attack Tails, but rather he wanted to retrieve him because he wanted to tell him something, or like help him or help Tails in order how to defeat Infinite. And of course, this as being known that this is all just a theory, of course. If Chaos was successful at getting Tails, where exactly would Chaos actually take Tails? My best guess is that 1, Chaos could have actually taken Tails to Angel Island, perhaps. And there might have been some sort of, portal somewhere like in the Angel Island course back in Sonic Generations that could potentially actually show that there might have been a portal somewhere to Angel Island so they can just go straight up and maybe get some answers. If not only, I think we weren't just going to get Chaos as well. If Chaos would have actually succeeded and wouldn't have Classic Sonic interfere, he would have actually taken him to Tails to Angel Island, and also not just take him to the Master Emerald, but we might have actually gotten the chance to see a returning character come back as well, Tikal, who was also a character that was only appeared on Sonic Adventure 1 as well. And I get the feeling that her and Chaos might have actually figured out a way on how to defeat Infinite, along with the Phantom Ruby. Since due to the fact that back in Sonic Mania, we know that the Chaos Emeralds and the Phantom Ruby are two specific items that cannot mix up together. At least we're not too sure as of right now, of course. But at this rate, that's what we already know. The Chaos Emerald and Phantom Ruby are two things that really just do not match up well. And by the time once they actually go together, something else pretty much happens. Whether it could cause like some sort of deteriorate portal through, space and time, or basically a portal to other dimensions, really. And being as that made, that's exactly what the Chaos Emeralds did in Sonic Mania, allowing Classic Sonic to actually turn into the present world as we know now in Sonic Forces specifically. And that is basically where he meets up with Tails, who thought might have actually got attacked, who was going to get attacked by Chaos, so he decides to just basically one-shot him and send Chaos running. However, if Chaos was to be successful and Classic Sonic wasn't able to actually do that sort of thing, then my guess is that 1, he would have taken Tails, as I said, to Angel Island. 2, also get to see Tikal there, so that Tikal and Chaos would be able to tell Tails what they have to say and how to defeat Infinite and the Phantom Ruby. However, alas, this probably may have really happened, because even if it did, I guess you could possibly say that Classic Sonic showed up in the wrong place and in the wrong time. However, this does not mean that I think that we won't be able to see them again, because I get the feeling that we will probably get to see Chaos and Tikal come back, especially since that we know that there's going to be a Sonic Frontiers 2. As of right now, we know that the Sonic Frontiers 2 is already pretty much going up into development. Yeah. with every single Sonic content creator that I've seen by far, and I've actually pretty much seen most of them in how they're saying that there's a Sonic Frontiers 2 pretty much coming up in development. Since that we already know plenty of things about the Ancients and how they are actually related to Chaos himself, it's pretty obvious that we're probably going to get to see Chaos enter Cull once again, finally after so long, after so many years from the adventures of Sonic Adventure 1. And to be honest, I do feel like I kind of like that idea. I feel like that's a really good way to actually bring back these two iconic characters. We have not seen them in quite some time once again, apart from Sonic Forces with Chaos, but I do feel like it will be fitting to see Tikal and Chaos come back, specifically for a Sonic Frontiers 2 game. Also, if you didn't realize, back in the Sonic Frontiers prologue where they had Knuckles the Echidna in it, you actually might have realized this red glowing firefly that was basically flying around, leading Knuckles to where he needs to be. That was actually Tikal. If you guys actually did not notice, specifically in Sonic Adventure 2, there's this red firefly that pretty much glows and tells you where to go. Specifically, that is Tikal. You could possibly say that this is her familiar or spirit form or something like that, I guess. She's pretty much the one kind of person that has been keeping an eye out on things, checking in on Knuckles or anyone else that has actually been around throughout these adventures, I guess. But I guess it would be fair to say that it's probably safe to say that maybe Tikal and Chaos may come back again and maybe have that kind of similar aspect, just like how they did it before in Sonic Adventure 1. That I do feel like would be a nice and very cute little detail to finally set things up and make things come full circle. And maybe, just maybe, we might actually get a little bit more backstory, not just about the Ancients, but Chaos himself, and about the whole ordeal about specifically wondering about one, the End specifically, even though technically that the End is actually already dead, or is he? Is he actually really dead? Who the frick knows? I mean, sure, Final Horizons was basically an alternative, but maybe is considered as the canon story to Sonic Frontiers. So we have destroyed every aspect and actually literally killed the End with the power of Sonic 2, and plus with the power of the positive cyber corruption that we've also obtained, but wasn't a playable form, unfortunately. But we might actually get to see the opportunity that maybe even the Phantom Ruby might just come back as well. They might even, Tikal and Chaos might actually give us a little bit of intel, and not just about the End, but about the origins, also about the Phantom Ruby. A lot of people say that, for some theories, that the End and the Phantom Ruby were potentially connected somehow, which, by the way, I did talk about something like this similar myself, specifically when I talked about Infinite's whereabouts, specifically in Frontiers. If you want to go ahead and check those out, I have the description below for that specific video if you want to check the full video out. But yeah, trust me when I tell you, there are some very major significant similarities when it comes to the End and the Phantom Ruby himself. And if there's any possibility that Infinite might actually make a comeback as well into Sonic Frontiers 2, can you imagine having Infinite come back not only just with the Phantom Ruby, but could possibly have maybe the powers of the End as well? Can you imagine how freaking terribly and amazingly broken that would be? If that were to be true, of course. We know now that probably if some people may say that Infinite may be dead, but he just basically disappeared into this one building in Sonic Forces, basically to never be seen again. You could possibly say that he is a Phantom himself now, because since that he has become one with the Phantom Ruby, he is now a legitimate Phantom, kind of like a ghost. And with the fact that he is one with the Phantom Ruby, then he's probably going to be even more dangerous than he was before. And due to the fact that if he does anything to Sonic and Company, or even do anything to Eggman or Sage, that's going to be a real tough issue. So only Tikal and Chaos would be the only two that would obviously know how exactly to beat the Phantom Ruby and Infinite again, if that does happen, or if the End comes back, or maybe both. Maybe we get to see Infinite and the End return or something like that. I don't know. Also, one other quick thing before I actually, end off this video. I don't know if this actually counts. Maybe if Tikal and Chaos might mention this specifically to Knuckles. But there was something about Knuckles when we were on Raya Island, the second island of Sonic Frontiers, is that when Sonic and Knuckles were having like a moment together, and they were, I don't know, Knuckles seemed to had some sort of flashback about, when Knuckles first met Sonic in Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. I don't know whether that's supposed to be related to that or something, or that might be something completely unrelated. I don't know, but if Tikal and Chaos might be able to step in and actually might talk to Knuckles about that, there might be something behind all of that, and maybe that could be because Knuckles might have known something about the Phantom Ruby that we probably may not have known, because I think I've seen something like that happen before. I think from what I remember, it might have been from Gamer Guide Ace, I think. I might be wrong, but let me know that in the comments below. I saw the video myself once from beginning to end, but I'm just not too quite sure. But hey, I'm just making a guess at this point. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. But anyways, with that being said, I think that'll do it for today's theory. So let me know what you guys actually think about all of this. Do you guys think that Chaos from Sonic Forces might have actually been around the whole time, and Classic Sonic might have just ruined the moment, might have just been around in the wrong place in the wrong time? And if Chaos were to be successful, do you really think that Chaos might have actually taken Tails to Angel Island so that Tikal might make a reappearance again? Or do you actually think that Chaos and Tikal might actually make a return in a Sonic Frontiers 2 game? I mean, this could be the one chance that we might actually get to see these two again, let alone having to see Infinite come back, even if that's even a possibility. I'm just letting those open, as you guys know. That's what I always do. I always let things open when it comes to stuff like this. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. Click on the notification bell to never miss a video. And as always, my name is Mad Dog. Stay safe, stay healthy, and may your days be mad and rad!